Welcome to Wine and Real Estate, the podcast where we drink wine, we have fun, and we learn about real estate investing. Real estate investing is so much more than just buying buildings. It's about building relationships, building your dreams, building your dream lifestyle, customizing your life. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? It's much more than money. It's more than getting rich. It's a different type of wealth. It's the wealth of time, the wealth of freedom. And now let's get to the wine and the real estate. Hello, everyone. So at the time of this recording, it's going to be water and real estate once again. So I'm on day 30 of my 75 hard challenge. So 75 days, no alcohol, dieting, working out twice a day, reading a book. And I made it the real estate investing edition. So my challenge was to buy one property in 75 days. So far, I've purchased 4. So I'm hoping the next 45 days, or how many days are left? 30, 45. Yeah, I'm great at math, as you can hear. So hopefully a few other properties. And tonight, I have a great guest, Sebastian, joining us from beautiful Austin, Texas, while I'm in Ottawa, and I have snow up to my elbows. While in Texas, they had, I heard, freezing rain. Boo-hoo, sorry, I have no pity for you. So welcome, Sebastian. Can you tell us more about yourself and what do you do and how did you end up on water and real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. As you can tell from the accent, I'm not originally from North America. I was born and raised in Chile, in South America. Beautiful place, beautiful country. Not very big, pretty small in terms of industry and stuff like that. So shortly after finishing my studies there, I became an engineer. So shortly afterwards, I started working in finance, in private equity, and more specifically, right, locally in Chile, doing infrastructure mostly, so renewable energy deals, things like that. And then after a year of doing that, I decided I wanted to move to North America and work in some of the largest financial markets, specifically for infrastructure and real estate. So I worked for a National Bank of Canada. Actually, that's where I started.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I worked there in real estate and infrastructure investment banking. I worked there for some time. Then I moved to Montreal because I started in Toronto. Then I moved to Montreal. Then I switched banks. I started working at HSBC. Same thing in investment banking, real estate, and infrastructure, where I did most of the transaction work that I've done to date. It's very big deals, a lot of public-private partnerships, a ton of different things. While I was doing that, I was very close to people from Brookfield, right? I had a friend there that was a managing partner, and I bought my first investment property, right? And coincidentally, that investment property was kind of very good for short-term rentals, right? It was pretty good. It was
Canada or elsewhere?
in Canada, yeah, in Toronto,
Okay.
actually, specifically
Toronto,
in Toronto.
yeah, that used to be a great spot for short-term rentals.
It used to be amazing. It was a downtown 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo.
Wow.
Crashing it. So just to give you numbers, that property would have rented for, I think, like $3,000 a month as a long-term rental.
Yeah.
I was getting like $8,500.
Whoa, okay. Big difference.
Yeah, really good, really good. So of course I pitched the idea to my buddy at Brookfield. So because I knew their funds very well, like the yields. I told him, like, we can triple your yield. Like, this is gonna crash it.
Yeah.
Right. And long story short, he told me, you know what, we have 2 problems with this. I like the idea, but we have 2 problems. One is it's very hard for us to underwrite these short-term rentals because it's just hard. It's very hard.
The banks don't see that like favorably, and they want to underwrite it as a long-term rental. So
exactly. So it's very hard, and that's on the credit side. But even on the equity side, how do you know your cap rates, right?
Yeah.
There's no source of data. Very hard, right? And then the other problem they had was you rely a lot on the operators, right? You're gonna get married to them. So if you go into an investment, you need a good manager. Otherwise, this is not going to work out. It's definitely not going to work out, right? So long story short, that was like a light bulb moment for us. So I was thinking, wow, well, if I can fix those 2 things and I can help folks like Brookfield or Blackstone or any of the larger institutional investors go into this space, That is massive. That is like a massive thing. So then 6.5 years ago, we started Andes STR with that mission, basically helping investors get into this space, right? Like in a sense, what we say we are is we're the AWS of short-term rental investing, right? We'll make everything super easy for you. We're super tech enabled. We have like proprietary machine learning technology that helps you find the right investment opportunities, that underwrites the deals, and then we take care of everything. So we'll do the financing, the purchasing, the furnishing, the legal entities, the taxes and accounting, absolutely everything. So you can focus on investing, right? We'll just make sure that this is possible again.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And I think you have an area of focus as well. You've since left Toronto and you're focusing on a much better market, less volatile, because Toronto, I don't know if you've read, but now short-term rentals is basically not doable. Like there's so many
Yeah.
days you have to live in it. It's just a
Yeah.
nightmare. So you don't want to do it there. But where do you focus now, Sebastian? Like what's your hot spot or hot spots?
Yeah, so we have a few markets now. So we're winding down Toronto as an operation. We got there
Yeah.
to 60 properties or so, including some multifamily. So like
Wow.
30-40 million in assets. Then now, because of those regulations, we're not investing there anymore. We haven't been
Yeah.
investing there for a few years now. But now we're pretty strong in Central Florida, very, very strong there. So everything there is it's crushing it, especially when you have good technology to find the right deals, because there's always a good deal. The thing is finding the better ones, right? And
That's
and
it.
uh, and consistently doing that, very hard. So we have a lot there, and we also have a lot in Chile, where in my hometown, basically. It's not because of that. It just so happens that it's really good time to invest there. Like we get very high cap
Yeah,
rates, low financing cost. The currency, like the exchange rate, is favorable for international investors. And little known thing, more than half of our individual customers are buying things cross borders. So we have a
yes,
ton of Canadian customers, for instance, investing in the US or especially Florida. A ton of US customers investing in Chile, for instance, right? A ton of Chilean customers investing in the US. So we do a lot of that stuff.
yeah. Well, I think we're gonna maybe go down a rabbit hole here, but because of the pandemic, a lot of people are looking for options. So Canada, with the whole trucker movement and everything, the
Mhm.
convoy, and people being like losing their passports and having bank
Wow.
accounts frozen, it opened a lot of people's eyes to reality, whether you agreed or not. That's neither here nor there, but it's more okay. Canada is not that free. It used to be you do whatever you want, the land of the free and strong. Yeah. Anyway, now there's a big question mark there. It's more like freedom and then what you do. So, as investors, as you accumulate wealth, you want to be more diversified. And that's why, like, my focus now is definitely outside of Canada. And
Mm.
if anything else happens similar, I can leave and go to many places. So the US sounds awesome, but it's similar to Canada as well in many respects. Chile, I've heard lots of good things. And you, well, if you're still Chilean, you have great passports. I heard it's one of the actually top ranking passports. I was surprised, as
It's very good.
unfortunately we have that vision of Latin America and we think of like Nicaragua and other countries, but Chile is very different, very urban in some respects and many things. So I love that you're using AI as well at work. I work in marketing and we use a ton of AI to generate our posts and things, and it's so precise. I can only imagine what it does for real estate because you're dealing with numbers now. You're not even talking like words and videos and pictures. So the precision must be amazing. So
Yeah.
Sebastian, let's say I'd like to invest in Central Florida. What's
Mhm.
the typical person like? Do I need $1 million or how? What's the way? Like, how can I work with you?
Yeah, for sure. So generally speaking, well, we have a few ways of working with people. So we have like three different packages, if you will.
Okay.
So the first one is the direct investment, and that means we make everything easy for you, but it's your property, your title, right? Like you take possession, it's yours, right? We just make it easy. But then you buy one entire property, right? The second way we work with people is usually more family offices or kind of very high net worth individuals. We create these things called separately managed accounts.
Okay.
And those are like little funds basically. But so we buy many properties within that fund and we manage the entire thing. But with the exception that we don't take any asset management fees or carry or promote. So it's like
Oh
a
wow.
fee-less fund, which is great, right? It's great. People love it so a lot. Um, and then the last one is we also partner up with other asset managers, like more typical asset managers.
Yeah.
And then we launch a fund together. It's usually a closed-ended fund, diversified, so 30, 50, 100 million, stuff like that. And then there's a pool of properties, right? So you don't buy any specific property, but you can buy into that fund with a ticket that's smaller. But in those cases, there is an asset management fee and a carry promote because the
Yeah.
asset manager needs to get paid. We don't usually take any of that. We just care about being the AWS side of things, like making sure that everything works, doing the investment, managing the properties. That's how we make our money. So if you wanted to invest, for instance, a specific property, like let's say you want one property for yourself, then
Yeah.
in Central Florida, I mean, you can go as low as you want, but if you want a cash flowing, good return, and not too expensive, you're talking usually properties that are 800,000 US dollars and up. So
So
it's not cheap.
larger
Yeah,
homes with many
they're usually
bedrooms.
larger. Exactly, usually larger. But now we do help you find financing. So usually you have to put down 35, 40% only. So the minimum ticket there is like it's roughly, including furnishing and stuff like that, is like $350,000, something like that. Goes up and down. We can make
Yeah.
it lower. The thing is that as you go lower,
The
it's less
return.
profitable.
Yeah.
Exactly, returns goes down. But with 350, 380, you start getting in like good cap rates. You start getting into the 6% cap rates, and it's cash flowing, and it's good properties, right? With lots of upside potential. On the fund side of things, so the third option that we
Yes.
mentioned, that one, the minimum ticket it's smaller. It's like 150K, 200K, something like that. And then you go into a more diversified pool of properties. You don't have to put any kind of personal guarantee for your debt, right? And it's a simpler process overall, right? Less risk, but slightly less return because of the fees involved, right? So
Yeah.
it's up to the investor to figure out which one they want.
Okay, wow, that sounds amazing. And what about Chile? Because that sounds very appealing, and I'm sure the price points are lower than
Yeah,
Florida. Returns are probably different as well. I don't know much about Chile other than the wine. There's some amazing wine,
it is.
definitely. And yeah, can you tell us more? Like, where are the areas of opportunity, and what is the currency? Is it like a local currency, or is it
Yeah.
dollarized, or?
Yeah, it's the Chilean peso,
Okay,
which is quite a stable currency, which is good. It's very very good.
yeah,
It's yeah, that's important because you don't want a very volatile currency. That central bank is pretty good at stabilizing their currency, mostly because the Chilean economy relies a lot on exports. So
okay,
30% of their GDP is
wine,
derived. Yeah, exactly. So
another
mining and
thing.
stuff like that, right? So and wine and I don't know, like apples. Like there's a bunch of things they
Yeah,
export,
that's
right?
right. It's true. I see a lot of apples, lots of produce as well. In Canada, where everything's frozen right now, so it has to grow somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah. So therefore, the Chilean like economy really wants, or the central bank, they really want things to be stable, right, in terms of currency. So that's important. Also, politically speaking, much more stable than pretty much any other South American country. So that's very important as well. Political risk,
Yeah,
as you alluded to before, very important. Very important. You have to be
yeah.
careful. Very careful.
There's been a few like Colombia, awesome deals, but wow, it's scary. Nicaragua, all
Mm,
kinds of things. Even Mexico is
yeah.
iffy in some parts, so that's why I like Chile. And can you own outright? Like I know in Mexico, it's usually a fideicomiso for
Mm.
the first 50 kilometers from the ocean. If you buy inland, and you can actually own outright. Costa Rica is 200 meters from the shore. So Chile, do they have similar rules or?
No, no, they don't. It's actually much easier. So the like one of the good things about the Chilean institutions in general is that they were reformed and modeled after basically the U.S. Right. So
Okay,
so many things are quite similar. There are a few laws. For instance, you can't own land like private land on a beach. right? And there's a definition
Yeah.
for what's a beach, but it's like, I don't know, 20 meters from the water, right? So
Oh, okay. So very close, but not right
very
on the
close.
water. Yeah, I don't
Exactly.
care to be right on the water, flooding, insurance. So
Yep,
it's
exactly. I
okay.
don't think you wanted it anyways. Exactly. But no, it's super easy, and there's no fee coming, so you flat out own everything. You own the land, you own the property. It's yours, right? It's a private property is pretty important there. So that's pretty easy, and the price points are lower and the returns are higher. So for many
Oh,
people, it is a better option. So we're seeing like the better properties because you gotta manage both return but risk at the same time. So
that's it. Yeah.
yeah. So what we recommend in general are properties that are around like 2 to 350K USD, right? Like
Okay.
that's and we usually recommend like putting down 50% or so. Um,
Yeah.
and the reason being, doing cross borders deals in terms of lending, it's not easy, right? It's actually pretty
No.
hard, and we take care of everything for investors, so you don't have to worry. But what we do get though, that's far, is that we have very good partnerships with local banks that are happy to finance our international customers. The Chilean banks that are giving us financing now, they actually provide very good financing terms for 50% loan to value. But as you start going higher, the interest rates start going crazy, right?
Yeah, it
So we don't
spikes.
suggest it. One thing though, after a year or so of P&L, then you can refinance into cheaper, much cheaper debt. So
Oh, wow.
and higher LTV. So we recommend usually people go slow, just take one either cash or 50% LTV or anywhere in between. Don't go higher. Let it give you the returns that it'll give you the first year, and then we can figure out financing next year with a higher LTV, and you can take some equity out and buy another property, right?
Mm.
And the returns are good. The returns are good. We're seeing cap rates on the 6.5% all the way up to 9% rates.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, pretty good actually, pretty good. And financing is, I don't know, 4 to 5.5% in terms of interest rates.
Very
Um,
reasonable.
Very reasonable, yeah. So you get positive leverage, very interesting place. Property values, or actually rents keep going up, cash flows keep going up. Property values are pretty stable. So it's a great place. It's a great place. Also, a good thing about Santiago specifically, where we're buying most of our properties, there is that it's a major metropolitan area, so it has multiple sources of demand. In fact, I always draw analogs with Toronto in 2012, 2014. It feels similar as a
Okay.
short-term rental market. It feels very similar, which was a great time to be in Toronto, by the
It
way.
was.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And does Chile have rainy season like a lot of Central, or it's South America? So do you have like rainy season or something, or winter, or
You know what? It's funny. So Chile is remarkably long, like from
yeah,
top to
it's
bottom,
super
right?
long and narrow.
Super long, exactly. So that means that Chile gets every season, well, not
Yeah.
season, sorry, every weather, every climate except jungle. We don't get jungle. So
Okay.
so it depends on where you are. In Santiago, it doesn't snow much. It doesn't rain that much. It's a drier place, which is why you get good wine. That's kind of the wine region. It's a drier
Yeah.
place. It's a very temperate place. Weather is amazing. Actually, it never goes below 0 degrees and never goes above like 35, 37 degrees Celsius. So
Okay, so
so
not too hot.
not too hot, not too cold. It's actually pretty good. Most of the year, it's great. It's a great place to live. Very safe in general. Stable economy, big economy. Like Santiago hosts half of the Chilean population. It's a big
Okay,
city.
wow.
It's like 8 million people, or even more maybe now. So it's a great place to invest, generally speaking.
Okay, and what are you buying for that price? Is it a condo or a house, or because in a city that large, I'm sure land is at a premium.
Yeah. So we like condos there. We like condos
Okay.
quite a bit. It depends on the price point. So for the 2 to 350K, it's condos mostly.
Yeah.
For some investors, we go a little bit bigger. We go into a couple million, and then we buy multifamilies.
Okay.
Multifamilies do very well. Those do
Yeah.
incredibly well. But it's more expensive. It's on the 5 million range.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, definitely a lot more. And how, like, time zones, what time zone is it in? Because the country is pretty much in line. There's probably
Yeah.
one time zone, or
Yeah, it's mostly one. So technically, I think there's two time zones, but the other time zone is Easter Island, which is very
oh,
far.
okay,
Yeah,
that's almost a
yeah,
different country.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very similar to Toronto. Actually, it's kind of Eastern time zone. Now
Okay.
the problem is that the time savings, the daylights and
You don't
daylight saving,
follow, yeah.
no, they do. But the thing is that since it's Southern Hemisphere, it's counter to
Oh, it's reversed.
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes the time zone kind of fluctuate a little bit,
But
but
it's
it's
1 hour.
roughly, yeah, exactly, but it's roughly Eastern.
Okay. Amazing. Wow. And okay, so Andes STR. So you do short-term rentals in Chile, in Florida, anywhere else?
Yeah, we're expanding. So we're going into multiple markets within Florida. We're going to Texas now. We're evaluating opening up in
Austin, I
Arizona.
assume.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I mean, all these are great markets. Then now we're also expanding into Spain soon. This sometime
Ooh,
this year we have.
amazing.
Yeah, we have a good investor there that wants us to take over a big building. So that's happening. We're evaluating Greece. We're looking at other countries in South America. So there's a lot of options. We're probably going to open in all these places sooner or later. Now our question to ourselves basically is, what do our investors want?
Wow,
What does
yeah,
make
that's it.
sense for investors?
Where's the appetite? Any plans with Dubai? I recently acquired a place in Dubai, and that sounds like a crazy market. We'll see how it goes, but yeah,
Interesting. I haven't evaluated it. Like that sounds interesting. I may ask you about those deals because I mean Dubai is it's a good economy, so maybe a good real estate market.
it's booming, and they just announced $8 trillion, I assume American dollars, in infrastructure spending. So they're
Wow.
building massive highways, and even it's already huge, but they're like, I think that's the entire government of Canada's annual budget in 1 year just in infrastructure. So
Wow.
it's going to
That's
be
crazy.
impressive. So going back to Central Florida, I know to a lot of people that's more accessible. You can, that's a comment I heard a lot because I tend to invest in far flung areas. People are like, I want to be able to drive or fly easily. Florida from Ottawa, where I am, is almost a 3 hour flight, 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh
So
wow, it's quick.
very short, not even 3 hours. You can drive, that's 21 hours. That's quite a drive, but you can. Um, so a lot of people are familiar with it. So Central Florida is popular because of Disney and all the theme parks. What I like is the stability as well. There's always things going on. There's conferences and a lot of other elements. And weather-wise, there you can get hurricanes, but they're less common in Central Florida or not as bad because it comes from the water and it tends to kind of calm down by the time it hits the middle. So, are there other good spots in Florida where you're starting to invest?
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I have to say you're very well informed because all that you're saying is true and in the center. So that's exactly why we like it. On top of like that, also like there's a lot of infrastructure stuff going on there. So there's the
Yeah,
Bright Line train connecting Orlando and Miami, which is definitely going to
I
affect
know
prices.
that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be great. The Orlando International Airport is growing substantially. So there's a bunch of things. But yes, like everything you said, spot on. That's a big chunk of why we like that region so much. Within Florida, we're also looking at different parts of the market. So the Panhandle, going closer to Jacksonville. We're doing some stuff near Hallandale Beach. We already have properties there, and in South Florida, so Miami. We have a few contracts there as well. So we're doing a lot of stuff now. The thing is, different investors want different things, right?
Yeah,
So we try to be as rational and kind of in the middle as we can, unbiased as we can. But it's hard to say what's good for every investor because every investor has a different exposure, has a different
that's
portfolio, right?
it.
Exactly. So if you have many properties in Orlando already, well, you don't want more properties in Orlando, right? You want properties elsewhere, right? Maybe you want
Yeah,
something in Chile or Arizona or maybe elsewhere in Florida. So the Panhandle is pretty good as well. We're evaluating big projects in Northeast Florida as well now. So we're going into a development project. It's 300 million. So it's a big project. It's basically going to be a condo tower,
okay.
oceanfront, like super good, purpose built for short-term rentals. That one's going to crash it.
Wow.
Um, Super good. But yeah, so there's a bunch of different markets. But I have to say, probably the best one thus far is Orlando. We haven't found something.
Yeah,
We find things with higher returns. But the thing is, like I've been in this market for a long time now, over 10 years involved in real estate. And people forget that these things are cyclical, right? Like it's not
That's
always
it.
up. Sometimes it's
No.
down. And if it's down, you want to be well prepared. And it could be now, right? It could be now that it's down. So we like Orlando because it's very safe and it has really good returns. It's not crazy returns, but they're great returns. You're definitely not wasting money. You're making money. And if things don't go well, Orlando probably is going to do fairly well, anyways, right?
Yeah, it's quite resilient. Even during COVID, when things were
Yeah,
shut down, people were still traveling
yeah,
within the country, going to play golf, enjoying the nice weather. Maybe you didn't get international travelers, but locals or Americans, and many moved there as well. So I was speaking to my local realtor the other day, and she mentioned, yeah, long-term rentals are very popular as well in Florida. A lot of people overlook them. They go with short term, but she said that's a huge market and it's really growing. People
yeah.
are moving, they can't afford the new interest rates. So STR also makes me think of rent to own, something I think Florida will have to eventually look into. I know in Canada it's been quite popular. Even our government is now subsidizing and helping short term rent to own, helping people
Interesting.
to acquire properties because the cost of living has gone up so much. So
Hmm.
just like Florida, I mean, prices have gone up and inflation and things. So that's amazing. So, Sebastian, let's say somebody wants to reach out to you and your team and they want to pick one of your three options. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I would say probably the best way is going through our website. So our website is AND, like the first three letters of Andes, then STR.com. Super simple, right? ANDSTR.com. And there's like a contact us field and whatnot where you can inquiry, you can submit questions or whatever it is, and a representative from our company will get back to you with whatever you need, right? So that's the easiest way. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@andstr.com. That also works. But generally speaking, the fastest and most efficient way, because we have dedicated resources to this precisely,
Yeah.
is through the contact us. And you can always reach out either via LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm always available. Always like talking about real estate. Super interesting. A huge supporter of real estate entrepreneurship. So every one of your listeners that wants to build their own empire and get financial freedom, huge supporter of that. I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, freedom of location as well. Especially if you're doing the smaller deals, you can actually visit them. So
Yeah,
sometimes it's a bit selfish where I invest. It's like, well, okay, it's going to cash flow. That's important. But more importantly, I want to go there once in a while and it pays for itself. So, I mean, everybody has their own criteria. So to me, it's having fun and enjoying the investments. And of course, it's got to pay for itself and make business sense. So
yeah, exactly. And that's the nice thing about these short-term rentals. Like if you want to go stay, it's your property. You can stay whenever you'd like.
that's it. Book 2 weeks, and you have to book soon because my places, many of them now are booked for a year. So I have to
There you
plan. Okay, now I'm homeless in my own place. So I have to
go.
stay in the garage or do something, figure it out. So it's been a pleasure, Sebastian. I will have to catch up in the future and see where you're expanding. I can't wait to hear about your next projects and deals. And thanks everybody. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. And make sure to check out Andy's STR, so andstr.com, and you can find out more how you can build your empire. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll have properties that are just being launched, exclusive pricing, perks, and insider scoops. Learn before everyone else what is being built and get the best price and service.
Meet with other like-minded investors and work with our hand-picked team of experts. Learn from the best in the industry with worldwide investing experience.
Find out more about private loans. Learn about the latest in marketing to expand your business. Meet one-on-one with some of the best builders in the area. Meet an amazing real estate team, legal teams, accounting, and much more.
Hey there, listeners. We hope you enjoyed this latest episode of the Wine and Real Estate Podcast.
Yes, absolutely. You can find us on Instagram. Our handle is wine_and_real estate. So wine and real estate. On Facebook, FL Homes Corp. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel.
Yes, and please make sure to give us a rating, 5 stars, or any comments. We'd love to hear from you, and we love suggestions as well. Cheers.
Yeah, chin chin.